The schoolyard to the stadium, Aon has been helping Kiwis strive for sporting success on a local, regional and national level for over 20 years. We're proud to support New Zealand's sporting organisations and communities up and down the country. As New Zealand's leading insurance broker, we can also support you when it comes to your insurance with expert advice and local service. From quote to claim management, we're with you every step of the way. Talk to your local Aon insurance broker today.
Kia ora koutou katoa, atamaria. Welcome and good morning everyone to the 2022 New Zealand Cross Country Champs here at Spa Thermal Park in Taupo. Look at the conditions here. It's beautiful winter conditions. It's cool, it's crisp, there's barely a puff of wind. And I am excited. My name is Hayden Sherman. I'm here with Hamish Meacham, Community Manager of Athletics New Zealand, and we've already had a couple of the junior races kick off. The next one is the under-16s. Hamish, how are you this morning and how excited are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, Hayden, and very excited to catch the action in this under-16 girls 4,000-metre cross-country race. Should be very exciting. You see the girls nervously awaiting the starters' instructions here at Spa Thermal Park in Taupo.
So we've got about 2 minutes to go, and you can see on screen there, I think these are the under-14s out on the course at the moment, but of course we'll be covering the under-16s, under-18s, under-20s, seniors, and the big one, of course, the Masters men and Masters women. But there we can see a good strong field. We've got a lot of place getters from the New Zealand secondary schools, North Island, South Island, so good representation across the board. So we have Nina Chalmers, Amelia Clark, Danica Clooney, Carenza Ellie, Amani Farey, Courtney Fitzgibbon, Sophie Garrett, Alex Gibson, Eva Green, Isabel Haig, Poppy Healy, Eva Houghton, Amelia Joyce, Sahara Katani, Jacqueline Kowaleski, Sienna McLee, Grace Meredith, Nisha Moorfield, Amy Nicole, Zara Pomfrey, Bronwyn Reese-Jones, Annabelle Richardson, Scarlett Robb, Kate Robertson, Mania Sheridan, Elisa Trotter, Taylor Trow. So a good strong field and some key names that I've sort of underlined on my start list there. Amelia Clark, second at the New Zealand Secondary Schools in the cross-country division. And we are away for our first broadcast race of the morning at the 22 New Zealand Cross-Country Champs. Here we go out on Spa Thermal Park, and a couple of those other names that I was just running through. Courtney Fitzgibbon, she came second on this course at the North Island Cross-Country Champs a couple of weekends ago. Poppy Healy, she's your Wellington Cross-Country Champ. Zara Pomfrey, she came second at the Auckland Cross Country Champs. Bronwyn Reese-Jones, a local in terms of the centre. She came second in the Waikato Bay of Plenty Cross Country Champs, and then Scarlett Robb came fourth at the North Islands on this course. So expect some really close racing up front. And let's talk about this course, Hamish. They've got 4K ahead of them. What can they expect?
Yeah, well, they can expect some great conditions underfoot. So that's the positive. The less positive, if you're not fit, is the hills. It's a very hilly course here at Spa Thermal Park in Taupo, and you can see that right now with some great footage from the people at the stream shop. Fantastic footage we're getting early on in today's races. What really struck me going through this start list, Hayden, is some of the famous kind of family names. And cross country is a fantastic family sport. So I see Scarlet Rob, part of the really well-known Rob family. Bronwyn Rhys-Jones, her dad Steve Rhys-Jones, a very well-known and accomplished middle distance runner in the UK, immigrated and ran well in New Zealand. And then I also noticed there was one more I was going to shout out. Anyway, yeah, lots of famous names. Oh, the Trow family. Taylor Trow from Palmerston North Athletic Club. Her two sisters, both very accomplished athletes. I think one of them is actually a high jumper, so that's an interesting sibling double. One sibling running the longer distances and the other a specialist high jumper. So a couple of minutes into the action here at Spa Park and heading across the road.
And they've got a couple of little fences that they have to jump there, and I believe on the 2K course there's just those two fences, but on the 3K course, which the older age groups will be making use of, there's three fences across the course.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, the hills are definitely the challenge, and it's rolling. It's not you wouldn't call it hilly if you came down here and did a Sunday afternoon little stroll.
No.
But it's certainly hilly when you're trying to run full speed.
Yeah, it definitely is. But, you know, to balance it out, the conditions underfoot here, it's volcanic type soil, so it drains really well, so they're not running through any mud or anything like that. So best of both worlds in many ways, multiple laps, so these girls running two 2-kilometre laps, and you see them coming around here. And so for the 2-kilometre lap, Hayden, are they going to nip left and go up the big hill?
Yeah, so just to the left of this car park, they'll come and swing a little left, and then there's a crossroad. So you can either go straight down to the 3K section, which you definitely don't want to do if you're in this race, or you swing a right, and that avoids that big drop. So anyone who's been to Spa Thermal Park before, you park at that car park, and then you can see the Waikato River in the distance. You walk down there, there's the walkway to the Hooker Falls and to the beautiful little outdoor thermal spring that you can swim in, and yeah, it's an amazing little spot.
Yeah, and this perhaps now is the gruntiest hill, so this hill is several hundred metres long. So what you'll often see in the races is fields will be relatively bunched to this point, and then they'll start to stretch out. We're seeing that with these under 16 girls a little bit.
And so they'll be coming up to the around about 1K very shortly, and they will hit that right turn just up ahead, just under those trees there. They'll swing a right rather than drop down the hill towards the river. But it's certainly a good course. I came down earlier this morning and tried myself on a little 3K tempo run around the 3K course, and got to say, I'm glad that I'm not doing 10K around this course. And I was having a read as well. The team at Athletics New Zealand put a wonderful series of blogs in anticipation for this event. And there's a cool piece on Melissa Moon and Jono Wyatt, who hold the course records for the North Island version of this event. Every year the North Island Cross Country Champs are held here. It's 9K for the senior men, 5K for the senior women.
Yes.
And it's unbelievable that Jono Wyatt managed a sub 27 minute, sub 3 minute Ks around this challenging course. So.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And we're seeing some of the leaders mid-pack here, I think, in the under 16 girls 4-kilometre race.
Yeah, so they're just coming down that little hill after that crossroads. So this is the front pack here. So we've got 4 women up the front. I can see in that Scarlet Rob is right there. We've got the Tasman runner, Amelia Clark. So cream of the crop, definitely coming right to the top. We've got Jacqueline Kowalewski in there as well. And then I can't make out that fourth runner.
Yellow crop top, that's Courtney Fitzgibbon from Fielding Mower Harriers. So Fielding Mower, a club you're going to see quite well represented today, one of New Zealand's strongest Harrier clubs. So a pack of about 4, you could say those front 2 are starting to push away.
And this is the little hill. I'm going to call this hill Playground Hill, because there's a little playground right next to it, and coming up it this morning was definitely the most challenging portion of the course. So you can see there's Scarlet Rob right up there with Amelia Clark. So 2nd place versus 4th place from the New Zealand Secondary Schools champs. And then just behind her...
That's Courtney Fitzgibbon from Fielding Mower. So there's your top 3 at the moment. Tasman, Auckland and Manawatu. these three do appear to be carving out a little bit of a gap.
So 2 laps for these young girls in the under-16s, 2 laps of 2K. And this portion of the course is basically flat, very slight uphill. It's about 400 metres, and you can see the finish line the whole way. So I can't wait for the next lap when they come onto this flat section of the course. There's a lot of crowd all gathered around, and they'll be able to hear their families screaming at them. But it's a nice, good, flat portion of the course. One other thing, Hamish, that got me this morning as I was running around, the one area of my body that's sore are my abdominal muscles from just like the uneven surface. Like I think the pumice, maybe the volcanic soil. It looks flat on your screens, but it's actually really tricky underfoot.
Yeah, it's a challenging course, but you know, Jason Cameron, the competition manager at Athletics New Zealand, was really, really keen and enthusiastic to bring this championship to Spa Thermal Park in Taupo. His belief, which is shared by many, is that this is New Zealand's premier cross-country venue, and it's hard to argue with those people, and we've actually struck a pearler of a day.
Yeah.
It's not warm, but conditions are clear. There's a little bit of sunshine. It's crisp, as we see. Is that Scarlett Robb looking to make a little bit of a move now? And pressuring on the shoulder of the athlete from Nelson.
So about 7:35 for those first 2K. So they're moving. They're going under 4-minute Ks. I can tell you now, I was not moving this fast this morning when I did this. I won't tell you exactly the numbers that I did, but let's just safe to say that it's slower than what these girls are running right now. So this is moving on to the second lap. There's a gradual uphill climb as they come around this bend, and then it's over those fences over the road, and then you really get into the up and down nature of the course. So
I'll just quickly mention, because we may not see them much in the second lap, but sitting in, I think, 6th and 7th, we've got Nina Chalmers from Owairaka, and then Amelia Joyce from North Harbour Bays. And this is one of the great things about our sport, Hayden. Nina Chalmers from Owairaka has been involved in the sport for many years.
Cool.
I want to say about 6 or 7 years. She's done some work demonstrating for some Athletics New Zealand videos. So that's how I've gotten to know Nina Chalmers a little bit. And she's just slowly, gradually improved to the point now she's running a national championship, and she's sitting in about 6th. Right behind her in 7th, Amelia Joyce, brand new to the sport, just started training out of the North Harbour Bays Club with Jonathan Wood, who runs a great little distance coaching group for younger athletes. So fantastic to see one athlete who's come through and is now one of the top junior runners in New Zealand, and hot on her heels, a fresh talent, new to the sport, Amelia Joyce. That's pretty cool in my books, Hayden.
Very cool. Yeah, and it's one of the great things about these junior events, especially you get athletes popping out of the woodwork that have been putting in the mahi through the winter, and it really pays off at this time of year. So you can see the athletes going over the road. Just behind those trees, the 2 little fences, and you can see them, they're kind of knee height, so they're not too bad. This will give you a good shot. Here we go, over the hurdle, nice and clean.
Yeah.
And it's tricky because you've got little gutters to go over. There's the footwork has got to be on point.
Yep.
Your spikes are rattling over the concrete and the gravel. So, look, we've got a little bit of a gap here. So, Amelia just pulling away. So, this is the second place getter in the New Zealand secondary schools cross-country champs, the junior division. Just pulling away from the 4th placer from that event with Scarlett Robb, who incidentally has a bit of a background in gymnastics and diving, of all things. And I was just speaking to her parents before. So this is Scarlett Robb. Yep. It was lockdown that closed all the pools, and she sort of just built her passion for running during that time. So, you know, lost to the diving world and our gain in the athletics world. So
I've got to say it's a great switch
as
well. It's fantastic. And talent comes from so many places in our sport, Hayden, as you well know. And it's great to see within the sport of distance running. We've got people coming from team sports. We've got people coming from other individual sports. We've got triathletes and cyclists transitioning over. So it's great to see all of those athletes kind of coming together and mixing. We've got a bit of that in the senior men's race today with a very exciting entrant. Tim Robertson, the recently crowned World Orienteering Championship, is in the mix for the senior men's race today. So great example.
Sub 14-minute 5K runner for those runners out there wondering if the Orienteers have got any skill. So, yeah, this guy's kind of come out of the woodwork and crossing over codes.
Yeah, it's fantastic running for the Lower Huts Harrier Club. So really enthusiastic to see how he goes today. Can he upset some of the more favoured names?
Yeah.
And is this the two leading runners?
No, that's some of the mid-packers. But things definitely getting spread out at this stage of the course, as you can see. So for those who are trying to work out the lay of the land here, it's basically an X shape. So it's beautiful for watching as a spectator, because you've always got a place on the course where you can easily see your athlete 3 or 4 times per lap. So it's essentially an X. So this is one of the little bands of that X as they head out across the road and into the forest, and they'll come back into the centre of the course and then head out again. So these athletes heading up into the trees, these beautiful shots coming from the stream shot, the drone in the sky. I can tell you it's logistical challenge getting permission for these drones to get in the sky. I understand there's about 6 different parties that have to aviation controls, various landowners.
And here's our race leader, Amelia Clark, being chased by Scarlett Robb out of Auckland City Athletics. So the Tasman athlete leading. Scarlett Robb making up a little bit of ground on that little pinch of a hill there. You can see how challenging some of these hills are when you get further into the race. When you're fresh, you'll likely just bound up those hills. But 3K in now, a K to go for these young athletes as they go past the, what do you call it?
Yeah, playground hill.
Yep.
I'd say there are only about 600 metres to go here. And reading Melissa Moon, so she's the course record holder in the 5K version of this course, she says you've got to push this last hill hard and then really own that last 400 metres. It's a short, sharp climb, but it can really make the difference, especially if you've been putting in the work on that hill training. But here so far, Amelia Clark, she's done her job over that hill. She's going to come out. She will see the finish line, but she's got 400 metres still to run, and we know anything can happen in those 400 metres, so she needs to stay focused here because Scarlett Robb has looked pretty strong behind her.
Yeah, it's a gap of about 20 metres, but don't count out Scarlett Robb. Scarlett Robb is lifting her pace, being encouraged by her coach, Graham Holden.
Yeah, this is a great running by these two, and it does look like Scarlett Robb's just got a little bit more turnover, and not too far behind her is Courtney Fitzgibbon, is looking pretty strong, about 10 or 15 metres back behind her. So about 10 or 15 metres separating these top 3 athletes. And wow, we've got 200 metres left to run. This is going to be a good shot of it. There we go. Nicely separated.
Yep, your top 3, Amelia Clark, Scarlett Robb, Courtney Fitzgibbon. Then it's the Egmont Athletics athlete, Jacqueline Kowaleski in 4th.
So round this bend, about 150 metres to run. That last straight's about 100 metres long. She'll turn this corner, will Amelia Clark. And can she turn the silver medal from the New Zealand Secondary Schools cross-country champs into a gold here in Taupo? Here she goes. She will see the finish line here. She will put her foot down, get those heels turning over a little bit quicker, pumping the arms. Here she is. She will be your under-16 national champion. What a run. Pulled away on that second leg. And for a well-deserved silver medal, will be the 4th place getter from the New Zealand Secondary Schools, Scarlett Robb. She worked very hard on that last hill, couldn't quite pull it in. And in 3rd place, Courtney Fitzgibbon from Fielding Moa.
Fantastic. Fielding Moa taking its first medal of the day. Possibly won't be their last. Egmont athletes, Jacqueline Kowaleski coming in 4th. Who's this in 5th and 6th, Hayden?
Yeah, let's have a look as they come through. You can see how hard these young women are working.
Queenstown Athletics in 5th, and the under-16 boys
great run from
underway. So fantastic footage from our friends at the Stream Shop. Under-16 boys kicking off right on time. There's those 2 athletes, Nina Chalmers and Amelia Joyce, coming across, I think, in 6th and 7th. And a likely-looking pack of under-16 athletes here, Hayden.
Yeah, good to see these boys out on the course pushing hard up these early stages through this kind of up and down, mostly up over the first stages of this course. But the way that today is going to work out, we're basically going to be, apart from a little break over lunchtime, we're going to be back-to-back with races, just going one after the other. How we've structured it this year is we've separated the age groups. In the past, we've lumped Masters men with under 20 women. This year, it really gives the focus for each of the age groups to have the spotlight, and we can really focus in on each of those individual races. So the under 16 boys are off. They will have a 4K course ahead of them, 2 laps of this 2K course, and it's slightly less hilly than the 3K course. You avoid that big drop down towards the hot springs down on Lake the Waikato River. I shouldn't call it Lake Taupo.
No.
It's a little bit further down than Lake Taupo. But here we go. We've got a good bunch, much like the under-16 girls, a good bunch in over this first kilometre, just sticking together through this forest section. And there's probably 5 boys up the front, and then 5 just trying to hang on to that front group. So great little group of runners to kick things off there. So let me run through the start list. We have Alec Ball, Connor Bolton, Theo Bray, Oliver Christie, Kobe Clarkson, Noah Crowhurst, Jude Deaker, Tommy Earl, Jack Erickson, Duke Gilbert, Harry Hardwick, Sean Jones, Daniel Kovalov, Jacob Lean, Jide Lowe, Jamie Maunder, Hamish Murray, Ben Oxford, Charlie Richardson, Matthew Sinclair, Alfie Steedman, Caden Theron, Max Turtle, Hogan Ward, Cooper Whiteman, Alex Wilkins, Callum Wass, George Wiley, and Brooke Yu. So good strong field there for the under-16 boys.
And they're also running 4 kilometres today, so 2 2-kilometre laps at Spa Thermal Park. Love Taupo, says the sign. I tend to agree with them, Hayden. These boys already stretching themselves out. I'd like to know who's leading that pack, because there's some very aggressive front running going on in this under-16 boys 4 kilometres.
So we've got some key names doubling back from both North Islands and New Zealand secondary schools. So the key name that I've just put a little mark next to is Alfie Steedman, the junior champ from the New Zealand secondary schools, cross-country champs from, what was it, about 6 weeks ago now?
Yes.
There's been so much athletics action over the last little while. It's hard to keep track of when everything was.
Howden Nelson, and it looks like an absolutely fantastic event. Well done to that local organising committee led by Vern Marden.
So Jack Erickson is leading things out. Jack Erickson coming out of Auckland City Athletics. And then we have the likes of Cooper Whiteman in there as well. First at the South Island Cross Country Champs. Then we've got one of our Bays athletes there just checking his watch. But good running here from Jack Erickson. Really trying to put the work on these boys early on in this 4K cross-country race.
Yeah, and he's a strong-looking sort of runner, Hayden. I do like it. Economical style, but does appear to go very well up the hills. Not a lot of unnecessary upper body movement.
So Cooper Whiteman is just behind these 3, leading the way.
So who's that Athletics Tauranga athlete there?
So we've got George Wiley in there as well,
who was 3rd at New Zealand secondary schools in the junior boys race.
Yeah, so
and
Cooper
he's
Whiteman
putting on the pace now. Wiley out of Athletics Tauranga. Of course, Tauranga, a traditional hotbed of distance running talent. One of the favourites for the senior race today, Julian Oakley out of Tauranga. They've got such a strong tradition and some very, very good coaches operating out of Tauranga. Notably Craig Kirkwood, coach to Hayden Wild, who picked up a silver medal in the men's triathlon last night. I imagine you stayed up and caught that one.
Yes. What was the words? Extremely arguable, debatable.
Yeah, extremely
bit
debatable.
Of controversy.
Yeah.
It was a very entertaining 50 minutes of racing. So for those who haven't caught the news, Hayden Wild was in the lead for most of the race, but got a extremely debatable little penalty, and the officials will need to go back and have a look at that one. But
10-second penalty.
10-second penalty.
Ended up coming second, 13 seconds behind Alex Yee, who did beat him at the Olympics, very arguably the better athlete, but it just took away from what was a fantastic race. My idea, Hayden, you've heard this before, chuck both Alec Yee and Hayden Wild in the 10,000 metres in the athletics, let them fight it out, have another go. If Hayden beats Alec, I reckon bump him up to equal gold. But these three...
Hayden needs a 16-second head start, right? Because he did come off the bike 16 seconds ahead.
He worked so well and so hard on that bike. So what was great, it would have been easy for Hayden Wild just to sit back in the main pack. But he pinned his ears back. He had a real go. So that just, to me, that encapsulates who Hayden Wild is as an athlete. He's not going to die wondering. He goes hard. He's happy to pin his ears back. He's happy to... In fact, he loves having a crack. So good on him. A well-deserved silver medal. Arguably coulda, woulda, shoulda been gold. But he'll have another go. And very much looking forward to seeing Alex Yee and Hayden Wild go head-to-head for many years to come.
Absolutely. What a rivalry that sets up. Now, a rivalry happening right on our screens are these three boys who are pulling away from the New Zealand Secondary Schools junior champ. You can see him, he's dropped back to 5th place, wearing the grey singlet back there. But George Wiley, he's been working hard up the front. Now it's the turn of the Bays athlete to come through for a little turn up the front. So Alfie Steadman goes to the front. Sorry, it was Alfie who won the New Zealand Secondary Schools a few weeks ago.
And Alfie now having his turn at the front and pushing the pace. So we've seen all three of these athletes try to push the pace. A little bit of a gap forming. So the Auckland runner dropping off the back a little bit. We'll see what happens up this big hill. Hayden, can they reform? Or is this Alfie Steadman laying his claim to the title?
And this is about where we saw the move by Amelia Clark in that first race, just pulling away from Scarlett Robb. So a good place in the course to do it, because you are rising up a hill. You can see there how it sort of snakes up this hill, and it's harder work than you think. You can kind of see it on screen, just the undulating surface of underfoot. So each time your foot goes down, your body's getting thrown side to side. You're trying to push yourself forwards up the hill as fast as you can, but there is that nature of just getting thrown side to side a little bit. Now, loving this little afro. It's not particularly wind aerodynamic, but
well, I do note that athlete is out of the Nelson Club, so there is a chance he's co-coached by Julian Oakley and Anika Fitzinger. Julian Oakley used to rock a bit of an afro, so I wonder if there's a bit of a coach influence going on with that hairstyle there.
I tried to grow one for many years at high school, much to the disgust of my high school teachers.
Well,
unsuccessfully.
My wife, who I've been married to for quite some time and known for even longer, found out for the first time last night that I used to have a rat's tail and was duly disgusted by this news.
Amazing.
Yep.
So it looks like these two up the front, Alfie Steadman and George Wiley, seem to be pulling away.
Yeah, pulled away from Jack Erickson out of Auckland City Athletics. So it'll be interesting to see, because they've gone up a big hill here. So up a hill is a chance to make a move. Down a hill's a chance to make a move. And that's what George Wiley, I think, is going to try and do.
Theo Bray on screen from Olympic Harriers. And, yeah, these two, they will come down this hill and then turn around the corner. It's about 1K to go from now, but you've got to think Playground Hill.
Playground Hill may decide this race, or it may be that final kind of circular sprint that they go around. We will see.
So this is the last significant downhill on the course. Alfie Steadman just prepared to let George Wiley do the work up the front and set the pace, but they are certainly pulling away from 3rd place at the moment. So expect the title to come from one of these two boys.
It could really come down to leg speed here, Hayden. So, on paper, the athlete out of North Harbour Bays, Alfie Steadman, is the better of these two. But it looks like George Wiley has put in some work from the Secondary Schools Championship 6 weeks ago through to today. He was 3rd in that championship. whereas Alfie Steedman was the winner. So let's see if George Wiley can reverse the form books.
Yeah, Alfie Steedman just coming up past, using those long strides to really eat up this hill, and it looks like he has worked all winter long for that moment there to put the gap on the rest of the field. And will that be decisive? It looks like it's a very significant move. He's pulling away as we see the Masters women kick off their race, so really opening up this beautiful, graceful stride over this perfect cross-country terrain here at Spa Thermal Park in Taupo.
And he's put 15 metres on him in the space of 200 metres or so, Hayden. So a very impressive run to the finish from Alfie Steedman out of the North Harbour Bays Club, part of that Westlake boys tradition, that great training squad that they have. Talented, exciting young runner Alfie Steedman, looking very good now, coming up with, what is it, about 150 metres to go here, Hayden.
Absolutely. Looks over his shoulder one last time. He will know that he's got another national title for what's been a wonderful winter, taking up the New Zealand Secondary Schools champs. He's going to come around the corner, see the finish line, and then I'm sure those long strides will take him all the way to another 2022 national title. There's the finish line. Final check over the shoulder. There is your under 16 22 New Zealand cross country champs here in Spa Thermal Park in Taupo. Comfortable win in the end, but boy, he worked hard on that last hill to open up that gap and claim the national title.
Very impressive stuff. The diminutive George Wiley out of Athletics Tauranga taking second place, and Jack Erickson, Auckland City Athletics, did a lot of the early work, getting a well-deserved bronze medal. Fantastic running for your top three athletes. We do have a Masters women's race going on, but if we can, it'd be great to stick with this finish line footage. Let's see if we can get through our top 8 athletes. There's another North Harbour Bays athlete coming through.
Yeah, taking out fourth place is Max Tuttle. So good from the North Island athletes. And another Tauranga athlete coming across the line is Hamish Murray.
Athlete out of Selwyn, absolutely spent, run themselves out. And here's young Maunder from the Takapuna Club.
Yes, there's Cooper Whiteman, the South Island cross-country champ, who featured right up near the front of the race early on, but certainly that second lap really taking its toll, and good lesson for those who might be watching this at the hotel thinking about how to approach my tactics. You've got to conserve yourself. Reading Melissa Moon's tips earlier in the week on the Athletics New Zealand blog about the course, you really do need to pace yourself well and maybe just underestimate, just take it easy on that first lap and really just feel it out, because these hills, this terrain is pretty grueling, and the pace that these boys will be running will definitely take it out of you. So here we go. Great scenes.
Yeah, fantastic.
All these boys laying it out.
Fantastic to see this kind of steady stream of talented young athletes coming through. Not huge gaps between them. All very well-trained athletes, and exciting to see, because in years to come, Hayden, the finishing order amongst this group of athletes, let's say this top 20 in this under-16 race, is going to change dramatically over the next few years as athletes mature, as their training loads change. So these guys coming across outside of the top 10, but still very, very good performances, and great to see some representation from some of our regions, the Whakatane Club.
Talking of Hayden Wild.
Yeah, here's the Masters Women's race, switching to a bit of coverage for the Masters Women's race.
Yeah, very big field for this race. We have the 35s right up to, we've got some women in the 70 to 74 age group. So lots of champs from last year returning. We've got Margie Pete, who's back in the 65 to 69. She won last year down in Dunedin. We have Sally Gibbs, who is always turning up to these events and always performing so well. You know, she began winning senior titles in 2012. She's won 5 senior titles across her time. But it's only when you realise that she's running in the 50 to 59 age group. Over the last 10 years, she's won 5 national senior titles.
Yeah.
And she's well inside the Masters age group, so she will be one to watch.
A latecomer to our sport, Sally Gibbs, and you know, it's always interesting with the Masters athletes who come late to the sport and run very well. There's that eternal question, how good could have they been if they started the sport, 10, 20, 30 years earlier? But, it's a moot point. Sally Kerr has had a great run over the past 10 years, really enjoyed her time in the sport. I think recently relocated from Tauranga to Wellington, so she'll be running in the yellow of Athletics Wellington today.
So other names to keep an eye out for is the Auckland Masters cross-country champ, Karen Donaldson-Barron. She'll be running in the 40 to 44 age group. In the 45 to 49 age group, Mel Aitken from Wellington. I saw her out warming up early this morning, so this is her second run officially today. So Mel Aitken, keep an eye out for her. Also Rachel Penny, she came second at the North Island Cross Country Champs just a few weeks ago. And Victoria Humphreys from Wellington, she's in the 50 to 59 age group. So lots of big names that we always expect to be right up there in Masters women running in New Zealand. And it'll be interesting to see who takes it out across the age groups for overall honours in this race.
So there's Mel Aitken there in the yellow. So I do believe it was Sarah Douglas from Southland who was leading the race. Sally Gibbs in the top 3 or 4.
So the Masters women are doing 6K, so 2 laps of the 3K circuit. So the 3K circuit's significantly more hilly. I'll use that as an excuse for why I wasn't particularly fast around it this morning on my little time trial. But they will head, so if you've been to Spa Thermal Park before, they basically head all the way down to the Waikato River, and then it's a big old climb back up. So look at these beautiful satellite views down to Spa Thermal Park. So we're going to get a good overview of it as we follow Google Earth around the course. And it's definitely, it's a must-stop destination if you're coming through this part of the country and you want to do a little trail run. There's a beautiful trail along the Waikato River from Spa Thermal Park. So it heads down here, down towards the river is the hot springs. But the trail that runs alongside the river, you must have run that a couple of times.
I have. I would run it every time I was in Taupo when I was a more active athlete. Arguably, it's the best trail in New Zealand. You can run all the way down to Hooker Falls and keep going further and further. I've actually never got to the end of that trail. Yeah. So it goes for at least 7 or 8 kilometres from Spa Park here. But yeah, one of the great attractions is a free kind of thermal pool that you can jump in post-run.
Just 200 metres from the car park, you can pull into this beautiful, or in the summer, the river's very swimmable.
And
the hot springs.
What could be better than some natural hot-cold treatment after a good, hard cross-country race? So, yeah, a truly, truly special venue here at Spa Thermal Park in Taupo. Love Taupo. Great spot. Hopefully we'll get to have more national events here in Taupo in the future. And I'll just throw this out here, Hayden. At some stage, we need an all-weather track here in Taupo, really, don't we?
It would be great. What's the chances of getting world cross-country on this course? This would be amazing. Reading John O'Wyatt's talk about this being one of the best cross-country courses he's ever run in his life, and he's run many. For those who don't know, John O'Wyatt, world mountain running champion, Olympian, one of the legends in our sport.
So I'll answer that question, but here's our 2 leaders. So it's Sally Gibbs and Sarah Douglas. Sarah Douglas out of Southlands, and Sally Gibbs running for Manawatu Wanganui. So I was dead wrong in saying that she was going to run for Wellington, and it looks like Karen Donaldson-Brown in 3rd place in the blue of the Auckland singlet.
Yeah, so she's the Auckland cross-country champion, and at the moment, loving this running from Sarah Douglas. She's really looking nice and strong as she goes up playground hill. This is the worst of the hills, and you've come all the way up from the Waikato River, and then you hit this pinchy little hill before you head on the 400-metre circuit around the mostly flat section to the start-finish area. So 2 laps of 3K. They have almost finished the first of those laps, and it is Sarah Douglas heading off Sally Gibbs, the 55 to 59-year-old versus the 35 to 39-year-old. So roughly, well, it might be over 20 years, because I know Sally Gibbs getting up towards the end of the 55 age group. It's hard to believe
she
that.
must be. She must be.
Such a consistent performer.
So Sarah Douglas, best known as a mountain runner, so attended the 2019 World Mountain Running Champs. We see some shots of Mel Aitken, well coached by Craig Kirkwood, running in the Wellington singlet. She usually comes through very strongly, best known as an ultra runner, but Sarah Douglas attended the 2019 World Mountain Running Championships, so I can confirm Sally Gibbs now leading Sarah Douglas with a bit of a gap back to Karen Barron. Apologies to her husband Brad. Married to Brad, who represented New Zealand at the World Junior Track and Field Championships in the steeplechase. Still does a little bit of running from time to time, but the wife has picked up the slack. Brad playing more of a supporting role, taking the kids off to football today as Karen tries to lay claim to this women's Masters title. Don't count her out. She's about 20 metres back.
Yeah, so we've got 3 age groups leading the top 3 positions in this race.
So they all win at this stage.
Yeah, there's no losers here. They'll definitely all go home with something, but it's definitely Sally Gibbs has played that hill well, and is that a sign that she's really put in the work over these hills? She came first in the Masters at this event in the North Island Cross Country Champs, so she's had a bit of practice on it, and living in Tauranga, she would have come down here many a time for North Island Cross Country Champs. She'll know this place very, very well, and she is opening up a little bit of a gap now on Sarah Douglas.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens on the hills out the backside of the course. So Sally has made a little bit of a move on the flatter portion of the race. She's found a bit of rhythm. Can Sarah Douglas, the mountain runner, pull back, close that gap on the hills? So first three different age groups.
So 59 years old. So look out, the 60 to 64 age group coming in next year, because this woman is unstoppable. She's an absolute legend, not just in New Zealand Masters running, but globally. She's very well known as just one of the top performers in Masters running. And, wonderful personality, wonderful character, and continues to pull away from a woman 20 years her junior. So Sally Gibbs, all focus as she climbs up this gentle uphill portion of the course. She has about 2.5K left to run to take out overall the Masters Women title. She will surely take out her own age group, but can the youngsters pull back some time on Sally Gibbs, number 242 out of Manawatu, Wanganui?
Yeah, looking very strong, and just checked a few of my files, Hayden, and I find out Sally Gibbs has also represented New Zealand at the World Mountain Running Champs, albeit in 2012. So Sarah Douglas will be hoping to close that gap on the hills, but Sally Gibbs no slug herself when it comes to running up and down Dale.
So we saw on screen Barbara Scarf there from Auckland running in the 70 to 74 age group, and alongside her Kathy Howard. So a good little battle in the 70 to 74 age groups. There's also Joy Baker from Taranaki in that age group. So 3 of those ladies going head to head. And this is one of the beauties of Masters running, is you will keep a close eye on the people in your age group, and you'll be following them on Strava all year long.
Yep.
Following what they've been up to and trying to hunt them down at what is, for a lot of these athletes, the pinnacle race of their entire year. So
you see Mel Aitken from Wellington there, as predicted, running strongly on the second half of this course. moving through the field slowly but steadily.
As the sun comes out here in Taupo, we're expecting just the odd shower, pretty light winds coming from the north, around about 12, 13 degrees. So really, it's perfect conditions for cross-country running. Mostly dry underfoot, despite a week of rain. It just shows you how the wonderful drainage of this volcanic pumice soil here. It's absolutely incredible to be dry underfoot. And gear technical advice, Hamish.
Yes.
Coach Hamish.
Yeah.
What would you be wearing? Are you going to go spikes?
Yeah, for me, absolutely. There's a couple of road crossings, which are carpeted.
Yeah.
Some people do hate running over those with their spikes, but to me, it's a spike course, and you want either a really sharp pair of 9mm, or a nice, a good pair of regular 6s will do on this course as well. But yeah, no, you're not going to come away with muddy shoes. You don't want to be, I don't think, wearing your road shoes. You will see a lot of athletes today running in their road shoes, but when it comes to your Nike Vaporflies, I don't think those are going to help you today. I think you want to be in a nice light pair of spikes, a little bit of grip.
I reckon there was a good extra minute left out on the course for me this morning in my little 3K tempo as I tackled these hills that you can see on screen. So this is the last of the little hill before you drop into that big downhill towards the river. And we saw on screen there for the first time this morning the interesting little hurdle that you've got to tackle. And it's a nasty little one because you're kind of going downhill and you're running fast and there's these little gutters that you've got to go over, and it's slightly higher than the other hurdles. So that's an interesting one for the 3K lap that they will encounter.
So this is the part of the course that we didn't see for the 2 kilometre lap. So, and I tell you, I have foggy memories of this part of the course because I would always be, after running up that big hill, and I would always be, in heavy oxygen debt. And I genuinely don't remember this part of the course really well because I would always just be kind of zoned out and struggling and trying not to
You've probably got
out.
PTSD of this portion of the course. Having heard some of the stories you shared with me of your experience racing on this course, there's probably a bit of PTSD.
Yes.
Knowing that you're running downhill and knowing that you've got to run back uphill is also pretty nasty. So they go past the Taupo sign just up ahead, and then they hit the big downhill of the lap. And Sally, well, it's all solo running as we see Mel Aitken run the opposite direction, but Sally has the course to herself at the moment.
In the green of the Manawatu Wanganui Athletics. So, long-time Tauranga resident, coached by Barry Ellis. Moving very, very well. Comfortable on this terrain, Sally Gibbs.
Hashtag love Taupo. And what's that? 50 metres, 40 metres, it's significant, whatever it is.
And then another 100 metres, I would say, back to Karen Donaldson-Barron, your Auckland cross-country champion. So Karen Donaldson-Barron leading her age group, the Masters women 40 to 45.
And we just saw Noala Doon from Manawatu Wanganui on screen. So lots of age groups, and you can see there our athlete wearing the black. You can see on her right shoulder she's got a little ribbon. Now that ribbon is there to illustrate what age group she's in. Now that is very helpful if you're sitting on her shoulder and you're in the same age group, or you're not in the same age group, and deciding whether do I try to pass this woman or not. And you can make up your mind based on the colour of the ribbon. And we break down the Masters age groups into five-year age groups starting from 35. And in this race, we've got some 70 to 74-year-olds. So fantastic to see these athletes out there representing their region, representing their club at the wise old age of their 70s. Impressive.
Yeah, and you really you hit the nail on the head earlier, Hayden, when you said these were some of the most competitive races of the day, particularly in the men's Masters race. We're going to see some really, really close competition. So it's fantastic to see, and, we mentioned earlier cross-country is a great sport, tends to be a bit of a family sport. And one of the great things is that you can come down as a family and compete at the same venue on the same course on the same day.
Yeah.
There's not many sports where you have the opportunity to do that.
Well, we saw the Crumptons, Shireen Crumpton and her mother, last year down in Dunedin. They were competing on the same day, on the same course, so really cool. It is a truly great family sport, and I would definitely agree with you. The Masters men, we've just had the World Athletics Champs, we've got the Commonwealth Games. There is no more competitive athletic sport than the 50 to 54-year-old Masters cross-country championships.
Yeah, correct. And it's amazing. I've got I'm lucky enough to have a few good friends who are still running competitively today, around my age. Some a little bit older, some a little bit younger. And these guys absolutely have my respect because by and large, they're pretty serious businessmen, owners. They have careers.
Fathers,
mothers. They
yep.
have families, they have responsibilities, but they still manage to carve out about an hour a day and go out and hit the road, hit the trails, and get the training in. And it really is quite impressive. I say that acknowledging that I no longer do that because I'm far too lazy to carve out that hour a day. But, these guys really do deserve our respect. And speaking of...
Never too late for the...
I know what you're going to say, Hayden, but yeah.
All right, so Sally Gibbs has hit Playground Hill for the last time, and you can see how hard that hill is. She's got a good gap behind her, but this hill is tough. Melissa Moon said that it comes down to this last hill. You've got to be prepared to hit it hard and potentially make a significant move over this portion of the course. Well, Sally Gibbs made the move about 1.5 Ks ago. She's pulled away from Sarah Douglas, the Southland representative, and Sally Gibbs, the 59-year-old, looks like she will take out the overall Masters Women's title. She will come out onto the flat portion of the course with 400 metres to run. You can see the leg turnover just increasing now as the gradient evens out. And there you can see brilliant shots here from the stream shot. It's about 50 metres back to Sarah Douglas in second place.
Yeah, looking really, really strong here coming into the final few hundred metres. Sally Gibbs.
We'll be able to see her come past our commentary booth. There she is, into the sunshine now. She will see the finish line. She will know that she's got a healthy gap behind her. Yeah. And it is 300 metres left to run for Sally Gibbs, who is one of the most inspirational athletes in New Zealand athletics.
And great to see as she goes past the start line of the Masters men's race. They all give her a bit of an ovation as she runs past. Fantastic
I'm just glad she's not in their race. Thank you, Sally, or organisers, for making sure that the Masters men and Masters women are together, because I can tell you now, she ran, I'm pretty sure she ran under 20 minutes for the 5K on this course, which is just phenomenal for
absolutely
a 59-year-old. Now, that's about the pace that I ran this morning in my 3K tempo run. So the
great thing we're about to see, Hayden, is 1, 2, 3 in this Masters women's race. We're going to see actually 1, 1, 1. So 3 national champions are all going to cross the line. And look at the time. 6 kilometres. She's just ticked over 23 minutes. Sally Gibbs, stand up. Fantastic running from the Manawatu Wanganui athlete. Here she comes, collecting national title number, who knows what, but it's a lot of them. Sally Gibbs, very, very impressive.
Impressive running from Sally Gibbs. She takes the honours in the 55 to 59 and winning her age group, but coming second overall in the Women's Masters. Sarah Douglas from Southland, here she comes, and far out. Unbelievable to run faster than 4 minutes per K on this course. Remember, they did 2 laps of the tricky 3K course. That is phenomenal.
And the Masters men are off, but here comes Karen Donaldson-Barron, better known as a marathoner, half marathoner, but doing very well on cross country. Well done collecting the Masters women 40 to 45 national championship. And here go the men, the gentlemen, the mature men, 35 through to 65, I believe, Hayden.
Yeah, this is a really big field. I'm not going to attempt reading through them because it goes beyond a page, and I've used very small font on this as well. So safe to say that we've got every age group covered from 35 to 39 right on up to, I think,
64.
That's right. We're cutting it at 64. So it was so big, the 65 plus have their own race. Now, this is 8K for these boys, and it's 2K. It's the 2K lap to begin, and then 2 times 3K to finish.
Who are some of the names we should keep an eye out for, Hayden?
Right. So we need to talk about Rodwin Isaacs, who came first in this race last year. Right up the front there is Brian Garmansway, who's already making his presence felt. He's always a consistent performer in the Masters age group. Second at the Wellington Cross Country Champs. First on this course, we've got Matthew Parsonage there, Waikato Bay of Plenty Masters champion. Alex Kelleher, first at the South Island Cross Country Champs for the Masters men. David Lovelock, fourth in the Masters men North Island Cross Country Champs. We've got Simon Mace, who won the Auckland Masters men cross country. Nick Moore, who came second just behind Simon in that same race. We've got Chris Marden, third at the North Island Cross Country Champs. First in this event in the 50 to 64 last year in Dunedin. So there are some speedy runners. Grant McLean.
The list goes on and on.
It's tough to call, but I can tell you Brian Garmansway looks like he's setting the early pace. He likes to get out hard and make it an honest race right from the gun.
Yeah, better known perhaps as a road racer, Brian Garmansway. If there is a half marathon in the lower North Island, chances are Brian Garmansway has won it at some stage in the past decade.
One of the most lovely guys you'd ever meet, and he's so nice that when you pass him in a race, towards the closing stages of the race, where you think everyone's tired and not caring what's going on, he will clap you.
Fantastic.
I've been clapped by him several times in a race, on the rare occasions that I have passed him. But lovely guy, and at the moment setting the pace for the Masters men as we see the Masters women coming up to finish off their day in the sun.
Yeah, and we'll get some elements of the races overlapping each other, which is no problem here at Spa Park in Taupo. The men are starting off with a 2-kilometre lap, Hayden, and then they'll have 2 3-kilometre laps, 2 of the big laps. So fantastic stuff. And as you say, Garmansway in the yellow and black of Wellington appears to be leading. That's number 238. So a pack of 3 has emerged early. I do believe, I'm going to say that's a Neil Smith from Otago. Looks slightly familiar. I think I may have raced him when I was younger.
But we've got Oliver O'Sullivan in there wearing 397. And then I didn't quite make out the other athlete in there. But here they come rolling down this hill. All age groups represented from 35 through to 60 to 64.
Yeah, and you see them spread out relatively quickly, but, you know, as we've mentioned, Hayden, it's the race within the race within the race. So there'll be people of...
see Stephen Day rolling along there down that hill, but it is Brian Garmansway who is pulling away nicely, breaking up this field.
And that's, yeah, as you say, Oliver O'Sullivan from Otago, currently in second.
And Simon Mace there in third place.
Simon Mace out of the Owairaka Club. Apologies, I should have picked that one a little bit earlier. Well-performed athlete on the Auckland scene, Simon Mace.
So interestingly, we've got 3 age groups represented again in this top 3. So Brian Garmansway, he's in the 40 to 44. Oliver O'Sullivan is in the 35 to 39. And then in the 45 to 49, we've got Simon Mace. So 3 age groups. So they will be keeping an eye out, and there's definitely bragging rights for overall title. But ultimately, you want to get your hands on some of that bling at the end of the day, and they get handed out in 5-year age groups. And Brian doing a great job at setting the early pace. And Oliver looking nice and relaxed, tucked
Yeah,
in behind him.
Look, not a name I'm familiar with, Oliver O'Sullivan. But yeah, no, looking very good, very comfortable sitting behind Brian Garmansway. And as you mentioned, Hayden, Brian is the type to kind of hammer away early, not afraid to get out after it. So the men are about to tick off their first 2 kilometre lap. So those first 3, Garmansway, the Otago athlete, O'Sullivan, and then Simon Mace. And then a bit of a gap back to the chasers. And then a few athletes strung along and a big gap, a big group rather, I should say, group of about 12 athletes running together. So we see some of the Masters women coming through. Well done, ladies. And of course, important to note, some of these Masters finishers likely will be picking up medals in their own individual age group. It was a big field of Masters ladies. So we've got Auckland athletes in 4th, 5th and 6th. But there's your leading 3, Garmansway, O'Sullivan and Mace.
So those 3 coming through in about 6 minutes 40 for the first 2K. So there you can see the pace is on for this 8K. And Brian, he's been at the front the whole of that 2K, really pushing the tempo. As I see Stephen Day, who's one of the consistent performers from the Wellington region. Then we've got 3 blue singlets leading up the charge, trying to hunt down this pack of 3, and just past our commentary booth, big packs of boys coming through, about 8 or 10 in one pack. So they're about 100 metres back off the pace.
And great to see Matt Parsonage, who I caught up with the other day in that big pack there. Matt and I were in the Athletics Waikato Bay of Plenty under-16 interprovincial team all the way back in 1995. So well done, Matt, for not only your fantastic career, laying down some awesome times, but also the longevity in the sport. Great to see. But these 3 looking very, very strong, Hayden.
Yeah, they're all looking still pretty relaxed and comfortable, as we see on our screen. Kathy Howard in the women's 70-74 age group, plugging away nicely. She won't have too far to go, probably going up Playground Hill there, and will very soon be getting a sight of the finish line. Great day at the office for her.
Yep.
These 3 boys running really well together. Brian Garmansway has been setting the tempo, but now it looks like the others being prepared to come up onto his shoulder and just help keep that pace ticking along, keeping those 3 blue singlets behind them from Auckland at bay. Brian looking good over these hurdles.
Yeah, Simon Mace not as confident over the hurdles, but the group hanging together. Really fantastic day here at Spa Thermal Park in Taupo. As you can see, the sun has come out. Temperature, what do you say, Hayden? Probably getting up around 15 degrees.
Well, forecasters, I've been studying the Met Service all week long. Forecasters for about 13 degrees.
Yep.
I would say right now it feels in our commentary booth about 7. Should have kept my jacket on. Never mind.
7 degrees Celsius confirmation from our fantastic producer. But no, it feels warmer. There's no winds, no rain on the horizon, so we do hope that rain holds off. As we see one of our...
Joy Baker, from Taranaki. Taranaki represent
and
from my home turf.
From the 70 to 74 age group. And that looks like... Is that Liz Hardley?
Liz Hardley from Auckland.
Fantastic stuff, lapping everybody on the couch. These ladies have done a great job out on the course today. Here's our leading 3 men, loping along.
All looking really relaxed, and I wonder if they're just kind of feeling each other out, because there's still plenty left to run on this course. They're probably 3.5K through now, maybe 3K looking at the time there.
I do notice Nick Moore lurking back there, currently in 5th place out of Auckland.
Might be playing his cards close to his chest early in the race.
Yeah, so Owairaka clubmate of Simon Mace, Nick Moore. He does tend to go out a little more conservatively, likes to close hard. I know he's set to feature in the relay tomorrow. We need to touch on the inaugural cross-country relays, which are happening tomorrow, which we're really looking forward to coming back and calling.
There's not just one day of action here in Taupo. Tomorrow we'll be back for the mixed club relays, and one thing that I love about this is it's 2 men, 2 women, and it really tests the gender equality of the clubs, because something that I've noticed is the women tend to group towards one club and the men tend to group towards another club based on, building
squads,
essentially squads
groups,
and teams for road relays, that sort of thing.
Yep.
So, you got teams like Bays, which are really strong, and the women may be less strong in the men for distance anyway. And then you've got groups like, let's say, Wellington Scottish or Pakuranga that tend to be very strong in the male side of things.
Yep.
So this is a great opportunity to say, look, you need to make sure you're building both sides of the...
And I love it. One of the great things about our sport is the gender equality.
Yeah.
From, prize money through to coaching, administration.
Through sharing the spotlight.
Participations, sharing the spotlight. Some of the biggest stars in our sport are female athletes. And in fact, it's something we should be really proud of in our sport. So this is a great extension. It matches the format of the World Cross Country Relays, which are run by World Athletics, which is great. I've pitched for a number of years, Hayden. If this goes well, I would love to see every couple of years National Road Relay. Get rid of the genders, mixed teams only.
There we go.
And I've had some really, really strong feedback both ways on that one, because you do see teams and they're just built. You see clubs that are, I hate to say it, just interested in building men's team and kind of ignore the women's team. So we'd love to combat that.
I like your thinking. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're heading out on your Sunday morning group run tomorrow morning, or maybe the afternoon group run, so you can catch the action of the mixed team relay in the morning, but have a chat with your club about doing that sort of thing in your region. And it's a good little debate. Jump on the message boards and let's fire up that debate.
Let it go. Get on Facebook. There's that big group breaking up a little bit now as they go. Martin Pugh out of Tauranga. Great to see these Waikato Bay of Plenty local athletes coming out to have a run.
Yeah, so these athletes heading down on that big downhill section of the course where you can really get rolling if you've got any juice left in the tank. And this is one of the beauties of this course, is it's the perfect meeting ground between all of the worlds of our sport. So track running, there's flat portions that are dry and you can get up to speed. Yep. You've got the strength of road running that you can apply to, as we see one of the best masters road running exponents, Grant McLean, on screen.
Former winner of the Wellington Marathon.
Yeah, and then you've got the ultra trail types who will love the terrain of this course, the hills and the chopping and changing of your stride.
And I tell you, we'd love to see more of that. So we've talked about Tim Robertson, the orienteering world champion in the seniors race. I'd love to see a few more triathletes come across and try this sort of thing. It's a great sport. If you're an endurance athlete, the purest test you can have is cross-country running.
And it's definitely when we look at the senior men's, senior women's fields, both those fields have representation from your marathon community, your track community, your purebred cross-country community, those who live for this sort of stuff.
Yep.
So we will see some great head-to-head battles of the different elements of our sport, and to see who is the toughest. And we often talk about cross-country being the version of our sport that finds the mentally tough and those who have really put the work in the hills and the trails and the mud and those horrible winter days and getting out there, getting the work done.
And here's that little pinch. Here's the toughest part of the course. These three athletes, so again, Garmin Sway from Wellington, O'Sullivan from Otago, and Mace from Auckland, nothing separating them. Do you think, are they working together, Hayden? Is there a bit of chat going on in this group?
I'm sure they'll be aware of the guys behind them, and there's lots of opportunities to get a gauge of where they are. And it seems like they are sort of sharing that lead around a little bit, reminiscent of the triathlon last night, where we saw 3 athletes go up the road with about a 20-second lead over the pack, Hayden Wild, Taylor Reid, and the South African. And they worked well to keep the rest of the pack at bay for the cycle leg.
Is that Stephen Day from Wellington in the sunglasses there,
That
I believe?
Stephen Day, all yellow of Wellington. Interesting to see the...
yellow shorts.
Yeah.
Very striking.
I don't know where you buy yellow shorts from.
And is that a start that we're seeing in the men's 65 plus cross-country race?
They're out on the road, so we've got about, what would you say, about 18 athletes in that, maybe 20, maybe just over. So all athletes represented 65 up to 80 to 84. How many 80-year-olds are doing this sort of stuff, running 6K of hills? And
well, the answer is only one in today's field. So Peter Ellis out of the Kapiti Club. Great to have you, Peter. And you will, if you can finish the race today, you're going to collect national titles. So, yeah, great stuff. I'd like to think I'd still be capable of doing this at 85, but I'm not so sure.
Trajectory from where you were 20 years ago to now.
Yeah, maybe I can swing back
draw
up.
That straight
Who
line.
knows? Who knows?
Yeah. There's always an opportunity for a comeback, and I seriously do mean that. And this is one of those sports that you come back. Cross country is, although it's tough on the mind, it's actually easier on the body, I find, than doing road racing where you're pounding that pavement for hours on end. It is a lot more gentle on the body. Although it can be brutal on the mind and brutal on the guts at some stages as well, it's definitely a sport that is kinder on on the body because of the variability of the terrain and the surfaces.
So great footage here. We see 4th place, worth noting. 4th place, Rod Isaacs out of Auckland, who's a young Masters, so in that 35 age group. So can he close the gap? Particularly, he'll be keen to close the gap on Oliver O'Sullivan out of Otago, and then another gap back again to Nick Moore from Auckland. So 2 Auckland athletes in 4th and 5th.
So it's not a done deal yet.
No.
Remember, we haven't finished the second lap.
Yeah, well...
Still about 4.5k to go. Is that right? No, we're on the last lap now.
We're on the last lap, but he has undoubtedly closed the gap, Rod Isaacs. He's looking good. So can he get this last 20 metres?
Sorry, just had a little mishap in the sound booth here. So this is an interesting development at this stage in the race, because Rod Isaacs, he's your reigning champ. He won this race down in Dunedin last year. He's been in good form, and he is tracking really well. He'll know that these guys had to work pretty hard over that first 5 kilometres to open up the gap they have.
And here's Oliver O'Sullivan going, come on, lads, let's get this train going. He might have had a cheeky little look over his shoulder, Oliver O'Sullivan, and gone, I don't like the look of Rod Isaacs closing that gap.
Let's watch the hurdle technique, because this often shows how tired an athlete is. All jumped over cleanly, but certainly there is a move up the front. Definitely is that Oliver O'Sullivan has put the foot down. He, like you say, he said, look, there's some boys who are catching, and we need to really make sure that we stay away from them. And maybe have we just seen the move that could determine the overall Masters title here in Taupo?
Well, and the great thing for Oliver O'Sullivan is he's got some lapped athletes to focus on. So, you know, he's not got far to go. 2.5k. He's got a big hill, playground hill as well, the short little sharp pinch. But I do think that's a response from Oliver O'Sullivan. He looked pretty comfortable in that group. But then he's seen Rod Isaacs closing and gone, no siree, I want my national title, 35 to 39. So the Otago athlete staking his claim early in this last lap.
Not quite letting him go yet, but can we see the reigning Masters champs, Rod Isaacs, get up into the mix and get up into that top 3? Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, because we have 2 kilometres of exciting Masters men running still to go, and that big hill still to come, and that's where champions are made, absolutely, on that last hill of this course.
Amazing drone footage here, Hayden. This is fantastic to watch.
Yeah, you can see them going over that. The more challenging of the 3 hurdles that they encounter on the 3K circuit. And these Masters men, this is the stage in the race. We're just over 20 minutes into it. This is the stage in the race where you question your logic in signing up for the sport. But that soon fades as you get a glimpse of the finish line. But there are some deep, dark stages that you go through in these distance races when you're grinding up a hill, trying to will the body on. And look at this, loving their bare feet. There's always a couple out there, especially amongst the Masters men.
Respect. That is fantastic. One of the great things about running is you don't need a lot of equipment to engage in this sport. Some people would say a good pair of shoes are helpful. That gentleman clearly disagrees.
Dennis lit on screen there. He's in the 70-74 age
legend
group, along with Des Phillips, who was our man from Taranaki, wearing the bare feet. And look, it's actually not a bad option. If I was coaching a 11, 12-year-old kid, I'd just say get out there and run in bare feet on this course. Well, especially in these conditions.
Putting my coaching hat on for a second, Hayden, it's something I incorporate into our programming quite regularly. So there's a lot of benefit in doing some barefoot running, strengthening your foot up. My athletes have a varied reaction to this. Some of them love it, some of them hate it. But I make them do it even if they don't love it. And here we go.
Yes.
He's working hard. Oliver O'Sullivan, 5-6 metre gap to Simon Mace. Looking very good.
Really big gap, and he is really, over the last kilometre, he has just opened up the can and is really pouring it on these boys after the early work that Brian Garmansway did. He's had to, I wonder if he clapped them as they went by. I'm not sure. But this is a big old move from Oliver O'Sullivan, the man from the south. He's come up to the North Island, come up to Taupo. It's no easy task to get to this part of the world. There's a few plane flights and some connections that need to be made. But here he is, and he has 1.5K left to run. He will go down this hill, and then as they kind of cross that dry stream bed, that little valley to the right, that's 1K to go. Once you've hit the lowest point of the course, you've got 1K left to run. And so far, he's looking good. He's opening up that gap on Simon Mason. Reminder that our top 3 athletes at the moment, they're in 3 different age groups, but of course there are the bragging rights for winning that Masters title overall.
Some beautiful scenes there of the Waikato River in the background. Lovely part of the country here in Taupo. Hugely appreciate the support of the Taupo Athletic and Harrier Club and the Taupo District Council in bringing this event here to Spa Thermal Park.
So Oliver O'Sullivan, 1K to go from this point.
He's flying, Hayden.
He really is. You can see that turnover's looking nice and strong. It's keeping that heel lift nice and high, which is a good sign that the body's still working properly and the nervous system isn't quite shot yet.
His 2 old battlers, Neville Smith and David Lovelock, out of Hastings and Palmerston North, respectively. Those 2 looking strong, trying to pick up a sneaky minor medal in their respective age groups.
Oliver O'Sullivan, here he comes to Playground Hill. This is where dreams are made and dreams are broken. Has he gone too early in this last final lap? Was that big move he made a mile ago going to hurt him now on this last little hill, or will he have timed it to perfection and saved enough for this last pinch up the hill and then the 400-metre drag race to home? So at the moment, what's that, 40 metres back to Simon Mace of Auckland? Simon's running well.
Yeah, he's moving very well. You wouldn't believe Oliver O'Sullivan's been able to put that big a gap on him in that short of a time. And Simon Mace, one of these fantastic Masters runners that will just race every weekend. If there's a race on in Auckland or within the wider northern region, Simon Mace is there. He's on the start line. He's got his shoes tied up and he's ready to go.
Loving this hill running technique as well. Eyes to the top of the hill, not looking down. Eyes to the top of the hill. I often tell young runners, look to the top of the hill. Imagine someone's pulling you up the hill by a rope tied around your waist, and that really gets your body in a good position. Also gets your mind in a good position when you're in a deep, dark place, and the last thing you want to see is this pinchy, sharp hill leading up to the flat portion of the course. But they are now 400 metres left to run, and I'm trying to get a glimpse of Oliver O'Sullivan, who is our leading Masters athlete. There he is. He has, what, 30 metres?
Yeah, about a 25-metre lead on Simon Mace. I think it will be as he goes around the top of the course, bending around back to the finish line.
Beautiful shot there from our drone pilot, just flying over the shoulder of Simon Mace. And, yeah, Oliver, he's opening up the arms. You can't see him there on screen, but I can tell you he's really getting those arms pumping. He knows that I'm not coming all the way up north to Taupo to go home for second place in this Masters race. I want to take overall honours, take out my age group, stick it to the old fellas, take out the 35 to 39 year age group. And what a run from this boy. Remember, it was 3 athletes over the first 5K with Brian Garmansway amongst things with Simon Mace and Oliver O'Sullivan. Oliver put the burners on about 2.5K to go, and he's made the move stick. There it is. He takes out the Masters men overall here at the 2022 New Zealand Cross Country Champs, coming in for second place overall, but taking out his particular age group is Simon Mace. And there we see the yellow of Wellington coming around the corner. Brian Garmansway doing all the early work, and he will go home claiming his age group title and a 3rd overall in the Masters men.
And here comes Rod Isaacs. He did manage to close that gap a little bit, but couldn't match the fleet feet of Oliver O'Sullivan from Otago. Rod Isaacs second in the 35 to 39 age group. Here's Nick Moore from Auckland. So Nick Moore will take second in the 45 to 49 age group, behind his Wairaka clubmate.
So these athletes finishing off their day. You can see Stephen Day in the all yellow of Wellington. I like that look. The all yellow of Wellington coming into the finish.
Very good.
Brian Garmansway looks pretty happy with his day in the office. It's always a good feeling to go home with an age group national title. Mm-hmm. And as we said before, a lot of these athletes, this will be the key race for the year.
Yep. And I'm loving that mixed zone there where the athletes can relax after their race, have a little bit of space to themselves without a family kind of necessarily rushing in to congratulate them. So we see famous athletics and triathlon coach Chris Pallone in the shot there in his cycling gear, being out on the bike this morning.
Grant McLean showing how that, even for an athlete of Grant's standard, so that hill is pretty tough. And big sprint finishes here. One of our Hutt Valley athletes really kicking home strongly.
Yeah, great to see lots of familiar faces, and for a lot of these gentlemen, they'll be pretty regular attendees at this event.
Dean Chiplin of Waikato Bay Plenty finishing off his day in the office, and also finishing up was number 470, trying to scroll, Neville Smith, there we go.
Neville Smith, former national steeplechase champion. David Lovelock, multiple times winner of the Palmerston North half marathon.
Matthew Parsonage coming through, Waikato Bay Plenty cross-country Masters champion.
Martin Pugh there, very well performed athlete out of Tauranga.
You can see how hard work this is for these, these
yeah.
men.
Yeah.
They are hurting. They're putting it all out there. And like I said, these age groups are very, very competitive. You will go to the well and then some to take out honours and pick up those minor placings. A lot of these men will know their competitors very well, maybe even from right back in high school days, and they carry on and get to share the racecourse with each other right through the Masters ranks.
Yeah, we saw some shots there of another former national steeplechase champion, Richard Bennett, who's won this race multiple times in his younger days, now in the 55 to 59 age group. So it's great to see these guys coming back again year after year as we see Sally Gibbs out warming down.
She's still running.
Probably just off for a casual 15K warm down or something. I'm on a bit of a chat thread with some friends, and I can tell you they were very impressed with the running of Sally Gibbs, and that includes several non-runners who just couldn't believe how dominant she was. And yeah, really important to point out that she is very much in amongst the best in the world in her age group, as a lot of these Masters athletes are, very competitive internationally. Great to see the different uniforms. It's a Wellington Scottish athlete.
Yeah, Grant McLean coming across the finish line. He's won the Masters title multiple times before.
There's Peter Ellis out of the Kapiti Club in the 80 to 84 age group. Looking fantastic, Peter. Very good. Love that Kapiti singlet. That's a beauty.
And these athletes hitting this pinchy little hill.
Rob Dabb from the Fielding Mower Club. Rob, well-known race organiser, coach, club administrator.
And
very good runner.
Many people will recognise his voice, if not his face.
Yes.
He's often announcing at stadiums. And, so definitely one of those guys to keep an eye out for when you hear someone announcing an athletic stadium.
And
it could well be Rob Dabb.
Rob Dabb is one of the primary reasons why I no longer run seriously. We went and did the gorge. I was living in Palmerston North, and I was
passing the blame?
Yeah, I know. It's all Rob's fault. I was doing a fair bit of training, probably clocking up about 100K a week, and Rob said, let's go run the gorge, which is a famous off-road run, quite difficult in the Manawatu, in the Manawatu Gorge. And Rob, he was 50 years old at the time. I was probably about 35, and he absolutely annihilated me. It really, really was bad that I couldn't get out of bed for the rest of the day, and I remember saying to myself, if a 50-year-old can do that to me, it's time to hang up the shoes, Hamish. So, thanks, Rob. Thanks for nothing. Thanks for everything. You do a great job. See more athletes coming through. Great to see the variety of clubs and centres represented in this race. Great to see the T-shirt, the Wellington Scottish T-shirt. Most athletes go with the singlet, but I do love to see a T-shirt.
That's Ross Lake out of Wellington Scottish, one of the famous clubs in New Zealand running circles. We've got some clubs in our country with a lot of heritage, a lot of history.
It's Darren Blackwell from North Harbour Bay, as you saw.
And Neil Smith, who's been trying his arm more at triathlon in recent years, former medalist in the 800 metres, senior men's.
Yes.
That was probably, 15 years ago, I want to say.
Yeah, well, that's what's fantastic to see, is seeing these athletes still involved. And for every runner you see out on the course here, probably about half of them are involved either in coaching or administration. This is a name you mentioned previously, Dennis Litz.
Yes.
Dennis used to absolutely destroy me when I was a young fella running around in Hamilton. He ran for the Hamilton City Hawks Club. I was a Frankton athlete, and I suspect he used to take great pleasure in beating me over cross country.
Be safe to say he lit up the course.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Okay. David Green there on screen. Doing well, battling up that tough old hill. So great to see all these athletes. Graham McKay out of Auckland wearing the blue and trying to get an idea of who's running next to him. Often you'll find athletes in the same age group will pair up and run together. and then kick home and try and get bragging rights at the finish line. But as it heads up for where we're heading this afternoon, we will take a break shortly, and then we're back for an action-packed afternoon. So be sure to sit by your computer, by your phone from 12:40. You can join us just a couple of minutes before then. But the first race on the track here at Spa Thermal Park will be the women's under-18 5K at 12:40, and then we'll just rattle on through the under-18s, under-20s, into the big ones, the senior men, senior women. For a lot of these athletes, this is the world champs, the Com Games of their winters. They've been training for this one all year long, and we'll see how it unfolds here on the hills of Spa Thermal Park in Taupo. Join us here at 12:35. Go and grab some lunch. My name's Hayden Sherman. Joined with me is Hamish Meacham. We will see you shortly. Ka kite anō.
Been helping Kiwis strive for sporting success for over 20 years. As New Zealand's leading insurance broker, we can also support you when it comes to your insurance. Expert advice and local service. Talk to your local Aon insurance broker today.